Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today discuss about the vestibular apparatus. Vestibular apparatus. In the petrous part of the temporal bone, the system of tubes and chambers. System of tubes and chambers in the petrous part of the temporal bone. And this structure is called labyrinth. Labyrinth. Labyrinth is divided into two parts. This is whole is labyrinth and divided into two parts. Cochlea. This is cochlea. Coil tubules. And you know cochlea is concerned with hearing. Concerned with hearing. This is the vestibular apparatus consisting of three semicircular canals and two chambers, a utricle and saccule. So semicircular canals, utricle and saccule, these constitute the vestibular apparatus. These constitute the vestibular apparatus. And vestibular apparatus is concerned with the equilibrium. You see semicircular canals, three in number on each side. This is the anterior, posterior, and lateral. Anterior, posterior, and lateral, these are the three semicircular canals. You can see that each semicircular canal is oriented in such a way, each canal is oriented in such a way that it forms, it is at a right angle. It is a right angle to the other two. So each semicircular canal is at right angle to the other two canals. You see, this canal, the lateral canal, is at right angle, having angle of 90 degrees with the anterior and also with the posterior canal. So these semicircular canals, anterior, posterior, and lateral, you can see. Now when head is bent 30 degrees forward, and head is bent 30 degrees forward, anterior canals are in the vertical plane. Anterior canal are in the vertical plane that projects forward and 45 degrees outward. So anterior semicircular canals are in a vertical plane that projects forward and 45 degrees outward. The posterior canal are also in the vertical plane, that projects backward and 45 degrees outward. So posterior canals are in a vertical plane that projects backward and 45 degrees outward. The lateral semicircular canals, you see, is horizontal to the surface of the earth. The surface of the earth, the lateral canals are horizontal. So lateral canals are horizontal with the surface of the earth. Each canal has two ends. So two ends of each canal. Dilated end, that is ampullated end. You see, dilated end is that called the ampullated end. And the other end is non-ampullated. Right? Semicircular canals open into the utricle. Is open into the utricle through 5 openings. So semicircular canals open into the utricle through 5 openings. The ampullated ends open through separate opening into utricle, while the non-ampullated end of anterior and posterior canal, these open by common opening into the utricle. So non-ampullated ends of anterior and posterior canals open into the utricle through one opening. So there are 5 openings through which these 3 canals open into the utricle. Semicircular canals are filled with endolith. These are filled with endolith. Now in the ampullated end of each canal, the receptor organ is present. So in the ampullated end of each canal, receptor organ is present. And that is called crista ampullaris. So crista ampullaris is the receptor organ present in the ampullated end of the semicircular canals. You see, this is the crista ampullaris in the ampullated end of the semicircular canal. So keep in mind, the crista ampullaris is the receptor organ in the ampullated portion of the semicircular canal. Now in the crista ampullaris, there are hair cells. There are hair cells. And in between are the sporting cells, also called sustentacular cells. So sporting cells, also called sustentacular cells. So from the top of the hair cells, the top of each hair cell arise stereocilia. Stereocilia. So 50 to 70 stereocilia. 50 to 70 stereocilia arise from the top of each hair cell. And these stereocilia, these project into a gelatinous material on the top of the hair cells, which is called cupula. So cupula is the gelatinous material on the top of the hair cells. And the stereocilia, these project into the cupula. You see the hair cells, right? And these are the stereocilia emerging from the top of the hair cells. You can see a hair cell, and these are the stereocilia from the top of the hair cells. And these project into the cupula, the gelatinous material on the top of the hair cells. You see, at one end, this is the shortest cilia, and towards the other end, the height of stereocilia increases. So height increases towards the other end. you see a very large cilium at the other end, that is called kinocilium. That is called kinocilium. That is called kinocilium. Right? So shorter stereocilium at one end, the height of the cilia increases, and at the other end there is large cilium which is called kinocilium. Minute filaments connect tip of the shorter cilium with the tip of the longer cilium until connected with the kinocilium. So minute filaments connect tip of the shorter cilium with the longer cilium until connected with the kinocilium. Now these minute filaments, these are called tip link. So tip links the name given to the minute filaments which connect the shorter stereocilium with the longer and ultimately with the kinocilium. Keep in mind that kinocilium is on the same site in all the hair cells. So don't forget that kinocilium is on the same site in all the hair cells. You see, vestibular nerve endings synapse with the side and base of the hair cells. So vestibular nerve endings, the synapse with the base and sides of the hair cells. Keep in mind that when there is a bending of stereocilia towards the kinocilium, there is depolarization or excitation of the hair cells. So bending of stereocilia towards the kinocilium or in the direction of kinocilium, it results into depolarization. While the bending of stereocilia away from kinocilium results into hyperpolarization or inhibition of the hair cells. So bending of stereocilia towards kinocilium results into depolarization or excitation, while the bending of stereocilia away from the kinocilium or in the opposite direction, it results into hyperpolarization or inhibition of the hair cells. Now we come to the functions of the semicircular canals. Semicircular canals detect angular acceleration or rotation. So the semicircular canals detect angular acceleration or rotation and help to maintain equilibrium during rotation. So semicircular canals detect rotation or angular acceleration and help to maintain equilibrium during rotation. Now, how are the hair cells excited? I told you, bending of stereocilia towards the kinocilium, it results into depolarization or excitation. Now, when there is bending of the stereocilia towards kinocilia, right? There is stretching of the membrane at the attachment of cilia with the body of the hair cell. There is stretching of the membrane at the attachment of the cilia with the body of the hair cell. And this stretching of the membrane, it causes opening of K-Toin channels. It causes opening of K-Toin channels. K-Toin channel. So when there is opening of K-Toin channels, there is K-Toin influx. There is K-Toin influx, mainly calcium ions. Mainly calcium ions. So due to K-Toin influx or calcium ion influx, the membrane potential changes from -60 millivolt, the resting membrane potential, to -40 millivolts. So due to K-Toin influx of calcium or the K-Toin, resting membrane potential, which is -60 millivolt, it changes to -40 millivolts. At -40 millivolts, this is the threshold of excitation. Hair cells is excited and discharge of impulses along the vestibular nerve fiber occurs. So due to calcium influx or K-Toin influx, the membrane potential changes from -60 to -40 millivolts. At -40 millivolts, which is the threshold of excitation, there is discharge of impulse from the hair cell along the vestibular nerve fiber. So this occurs when there is bending of stereocilia towards the kinocilia. Now when there is bending of stereocilia away from the kinocilia, there is more tight closure of the K-Toin channels in the membrane of the hair cells at the attachment of cilia with the cell body. So bending of stereocilia away from the kinocilia, more tight closure of the K-Toin channels in the membrane at the attachment of cilia with the body of the hair cells. And due to their more tight closure, there is less K-Toin influx, and the membrane potential from -60 millivolt, it becomes more negative. When there is bending of stereocilia away from the kinocilia, more tight closure of K-Toin channels in the membrane at the attachment of cilia with the body of the hair cell, less K-Toin influx, and membrane potential becomes more negative. So more negative membrane potential, and this is called hyperpolarization. The hair cell is inhibited. And this is called hyperpolarization due to more tight closure of K-Toin channels, less K-Toin influx, and this results into more negative membrane potential than -65 millivolt. So this is the mechanism of excitation of the hair cells in the crista ampullaris. Right? So bending of stereocilia towards kinocilia, discharge of impulses from the hair cells along the vestibular nerve fiber increases. This is because this is depolarization or excitation of hair cells. So bending of stereocilia away from the kinocilium, it results into hyperpolarization and discharge of impulses from the hair cells along vestibular nerve fibers decreases. Now keep in mind that even at rest, there is discharge of impulses from the hair cells at a rate of about 100 impulses per second. Even at rest, there is discharge of impulses from the hair cells at a rate of 100 impulses per second. And when there is depolarization, discharge of impulses will increase to many hundred impulses per second. So when there is depolarization, excitation, discharge of impulses from the hair cells increases to many hundred impulses per second. And when there is hyperpolarization, inhibition of hair cells, discharge of impulses will decrease below 100 impulses per second. So discharge will decrease below 100 impulses per second when there is hyperpolarization or inhibition. You see this figure also. This is the discharge of impulses from the hair cells at rest. This is the discharge, increased discharge of impulses from the hair cells when there is bending of stereocilia towards kinocilia. And this is the decreased discharge below the resting value from the hair cells when there is bending of stereocilia away from the kinocilia. I told you that the function of the semicircular canal, that these detect rotation or angular acceleration and help to maintain equilibrium during rotation. Now you keep in mind that it is the movement of endolymph in the semicircular canals which results into excitation or inhibition of the hair cells. So movement of endolymph in the semicircular canals, it results into excitation or inhibition of the hair cells. Let us say a person is rotated, say for 40 seconds. A person is rotated for 40 seconds. Let us say you rotate a person towards left side. You rotate a person towards left side. You see this figure? This is the discharge of impulses per second. This is the discharge at rest, 100 impulses per second. And this is the time in seconds. Time in seconds. So this person is rotated towards left side, say at 20th second, and rotated for 40 seconds. That is up to 60 seconds. Now when we start rotation of the person, semicircular canals start rotation. Along with the rotation of the body, the canals also start rotation along with the rotation of the body. But endolymph in the canal has inertia. Endolymph in the canal has inertia. And because of inertia, the endolymph, it tends to remain stationary. So endolymph tends to remain stationary because of the inertia. So a person is rotated toward left side, and endolymph is stationary because of inertia. It rotates, it moves toward right side. Right? So because of the inertia, endolymph remains stationary and it tends to move towards right side. You see, this person being rotated toward left side. Right? Yes, so right side this figure, and in the direction of opposite direction there will be movement of the endolymph. So because of inertia, endolymph moves in the opposite direction. Right? And this causes bending of cupula and bending of stereocilia towards the gynoecilia, and bending of the stereocilia towards the gynoecilium. It results into excitation of hair cells, right? So when hair cells are excited, discharge of impulses from hair cells suddenly increases. It increases to many hundred impulses per second. Many hundred impulses per second. Right? So we rotate a person, the semicircular canals rotate in the same direction along with the body. But the endolymph, because of inertia, it remains stationary or it moves towards the opposite side. And this causes bending of cupula or bending of stereocilia towards gynoecilia. Hair cells are excited, and discharge of impulses from the hair cells will increase to many hundred impulses per second abruptly. Within some second, within some second, the endolymph becomes out of inertia. It also starts moving in the same direction. So within some seconds after the start of rotation, endolymph overcomes the inertia. It starts moving in the same direction, that's the direction of rotation, and now there is bending of cupula or the stereocilia in the opposite direction. So discharge of impulses will decrease rapidly to the discharge at rest, that's 100 impulses per second. Right? I told you after some seconds the inertia of endolymph is overcome. Endolymph also starts moving in the same direction. So bending of the cupula and the hair cells in the opposite this direction, that is away from the gynoecilia. And this causes inhibition or hyperpolarization, and the discharge of impulse will decrease rapidly back to the resting value. And then discharge remains at resting value. Discharge remains at resting value as long as the person is rotated. You see? So discharge of impulses remain at resting value as long as the person is rotated. When we stop rotation, say after 40 seconds, we stop rotation. When we stop rotation, the body stops moving. Semicircular canals also stop movement. But endonyms because of momentum. Endonyms because of momentum, it tends to move in the direction of rotation. So when we stop rotation, body stops movement. Semicircular canals stop movement. But endonym, because of momentum, it tends to move in the same direction. And this causes bending of stereocilia away from the kinocilium. Right? And there is an inhibition of the hair cells. And you see, discharge of impulses decreases to almost zero, because this bending of stereocilia away from kinocilium. So discharge will decrease in the resting value of 100, it goes to 0, and then after a few seconds it will increase to the resting value. After some second it will increase to the resting value of discharge of impulse. So this is the pattern of discharge of impulses from the hair cells. At the start of rotation, discharge of impulses increase to many hundred impulses per second. And it is due to the inertia of the endolymph, right? It tend to move in the opposite direction. And then after a few seconds, some second, then endolymphs also start moving in the same direction. So discharge of impulses will decrease to the resting value, and this impulse discharge at resting value, it continues. It remains as long as the person is rotated. At the stoppage of rotation, because of momentum of the endolymph, it tends to move in the same direction. And there is bending of stereocilia away from the kinocilium. So impulse discharge will decrease. Even below resting value, it goes to 0. And then after some second, when momentum of the endolymph also overcomes, then the impulse discharge comes back to the resting value. We can say that hair cells in the crista discharge signals of one polarity at the start of rotation and discharge signals of the opposite polarity at the end of rotation. So keep in mind that hair cells in the crista ampularis discharge signals of one polarity at the start of rotation and the opposite polarity at the end of the rotation. So discharge of signals from the hair cells in the crista ampularis is this discharge signal of one polarity at the start of rotation and of the opposite polarity at the end of the rotation. So this is the mechanism and also the pattern of excitation of hair cells in the crista ampularis. Crista ampularis. Keep in mind that I told you that semicircular canals detect rotation or angular acceleration. Semicircular canals can also determine the velocity of rotation. These canals can also determine the velocity of rotation. The velocity of rotation required to stimulate semicircular canals is 1 degree per second per second. The velocity of rotation required to stimulate semicircular canals is 1 degree per second per second. 1 degree per second is the velocity of rotation required to stimulate a semicircular canals. What do you mean by 1 degree per second per second? It means at the end of first second, the velocity of rotation will be 1 degree per second. At the end of second, velocity of rotation will be 2 seconds per second, 2 degrees per second. At the end of third second, the velocity will be 3 degrees per second. At the end of the fourth second, the velocity will be 4 degrees per second. So this is the meaning of 1 degree per second per second. So at the end of every second, velocity will increase by 1 degree. So velocity will be 1 degree per second at the end of first second, 2 degree per second at the end of second, 3 degree per second at the end of third second, and so on. So also keep in mind that semicircular canals can determine the velocity of rotation. Semicircular canals also have a predictive function. And that is, these can predict before time. That a disturbance of equilibrium is going to take place. So these canals can predict before time that a disturbance of equilibrium is going to take place, so that corrective measures can be adopted, and the disturbance of equilibrium can be avoided, can be prevented. So semicircular canals can detect before time that a disturbance of equilibrium is going to take place. Corrective measures are adopted to prevent the disturbance of the equilibrium. For example, a person is running fast, suddenly turns to one side. A person is running fast, suddenly turns to one side. Person may fall, but because of the predictive function of the semicircular canals, person does not fall. And this is the predictive function of the semicircular canals. The next function is that semicircular canals help to fixate image of the outward objects on the retina during rotation or head movement. So these canals help to fixate image of the outward objects on the retina during movement of the head or rotation. And this is carried out by a compensatory movement which is called nystagmus or vestibulo-ocular reflex. So I told you that semicircular canals help to fixate image of the outward objects during movement of the head or rotation. And this is carried out by a compensatory eye movement which is called nystagmus or vestibulo-ocular reflex. Nystagmus is present at the start of rotation and at the end of rotation. Nystagmus is present at the start of rotation and at the end of rotation. Nystagmus doesn't involve the visual impulses. So visual system is not involved in the nystagmus. So it is present in the blind people. In the blind people, the nystagmus at the start of rotation and at the end of rotation. Let us say a person is rotated towards left. rotated towards left. So eyes move slowly towards right in order to fixate the image of the outward objects on the retina. So person is rotated towards left, eyes move slowly towards right in order to fixate image of the outward objects on the retina. But this slow movement is up to a certain extent. Then eyes rapidly come back to new fixation point. Eyes come back quickly to a new fixation point. Right? So during rotation, say rotation towards left side, eyes move slowly towards right side to fixate image of the object on the retina. This movement, slow movement comes to a certain limit, and then the eyes quickly come